The Georgia Bulldogs may be celebrating a national championship right now, but they don't have to look too far to see just how quickly shit can turn sideways. We are 2 years removed from the LSU Tigers winning the national championship, and you're probably well aware of just how quickly the situation deteriorated down in Baton Rouge. The most shocking thing about LSU's demise is the absolute epic collapse of their coaching staff. That national championship winning LSU team had 12 main coaches. We're talking coordinators, lead positional coaches, strength and training guys, etc. Out of that group, only one has moved upward. A few have been lucky enough to make lateral moves, and most find themselves out of work at the moment. Perhaps what has happened to the national championship winning 2019 LSU coaching staff is proof that talented college kids can overcome the incompetence of adults. Alright, so maybe that analysis is a bit harsh. But something has to be up, considering nearly every coach on that team has face planted since brushing aside Clemson in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. The shocking thing here remains just that this wasn't some long, slow decline that happened over an extended period of time. The team, LSU, won the national championship and then crapped the bed almost immediately. So, what has happened to the LSU coaching staff? How has this rapid and epic decline unfolded? Well, let's find out. We mentioned that there was one bright spot, and you probably already know this, but it's Dave Aranda, who, after winning the college football playoff, landed the Baylor head coaching gig. That first season in Waco was kinda dicey, but he recovered in year 2 to win the Big 12 title. However, I want to take a sidebar here. College Game Day wants to act like this was some miraculous job, that Aranda was this fantastic coach, and he did a good job. But can we, for the love of God, stop pretending Baylor is some backwater program where it's hard to win? The Bears went to a bowl game in 9 of 10 seasons during the 2010s. The program has now been to 3 New Year's Six bowls in the past decade or so. This is a side that is regularly winning double-digit games a year. So for the love of all that's good, Kirk Herbstreit, David Pollock, Reese Davis, etc., stop making it out like Dave Aranda worked a miracle this year in Waco. He did a good job with a program that has become one of college football's more consistent programs. With that out of the way, this sidebar is over, and we can get back to the regularly scheduled topic. The epic collapse of the national championship winning 2019 LSU coaching staff obviously starts with Aranda's former boss, Ed Orgeron. Coach O was shown the door after 2 incredibly average seasons in Baton Rouge. At the end of the day, Orgeron is a great character, but a decidedly mediocre head coach. The 2019 season happened because LSU was too talented to screw up. They just needed some guy who could oversee things and who wouldn't meddle along the way. And Coach O did that really well, and he deserves credit for that. But he is not on the level of Nick Saban or Kirby Smart or even Lane Kiffin at this point, so all things considered, it was never going to be a long-term success story with Ed Orgeron. The darling of that 2019 LSU coaching staff was passing game coordinator Joe Brady. Of course, he left following the title game that year to take the job of offensive coordinator with the Carolina Panthers. That did not go as he had hoped, with Brady being fired by Matt Rule during this season. It's hard to put all of the blame on Brady for Carolina's offensive woes. They never bothered getting him a half-decent quarterback. Christian McCaffrey was already hurt. But at the same time, it didn't really feel like Brady was effectively using the pieces he did have at his disposal. Then again, maybe any system and any offensive coordinator could have had success with Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and etc., etc. Brady's running mate and the actual offensive coordinator of LSU in 2019 was Steve Ensminger, who was fired after the Tigers' disastrous 2020 campaign. Realistically, this wasn't so much a retirement as it was Ed Orgeron telling Ensminger that you need to retire or you're going to be fired. Offensive line coach James Craig was fired after the 2020 season for a violation of NCAA rules. He then turned around and sued his former employer, which didn't really do much for his job prospects as he did not hold a job in college football last season. Wide receivers and assistant head coach Mickey Joseph managed to survive both post-championship seasons, but recently left to take a similar role at Nebraska. Meanwhile, running backs coach on that championship winning team, Tommy Robinson, found work at Texas A&M after the title game. On the defensive side of the ball, Aranda went on to bigger and better things, but many of those he left behind did not. Defensive line coach Bill Johnson retired, wink wink, at the end of the 2020 season. Safeties coach Bill Bush only survived 2020 as well. Cornerbacks coach Corey Raymond has stuck around for the past 2 seasons in Baton Rouge, although given just how bad the Tiger secondary has been torched over that time, fans probably wish he hadn't stayed. 2 other members of that 2019 LSU coaching staff recently left the program. Special teams coordinator Greg McMahon chose to retire, while new Tigers head coach Brian Kelly decided not to retain strength and conditioning coordinator Tommy Moffitt. Even in a sport like college football, where the only constant is change, the epic downfall of the 2019 LSU coaching staff is still amazing and mind-boggling and really kind of completely unbelievable. In fact, only one other coach to have taken their team to the college football playoff, not won the championship, just made it to the CFP, has been fired. That was Oregon's Mark Hilfrich. Every other head coach who's taken their team to the college football playoff has either retired, left for a new job, or is still coaching their team. I suppose in some ways it is fitting that a generational team like the 2019 LSU Tigers had a generational coaching staff, albeit one who's defined by abject failure. The good news for Brian Kelly is that the bar is set pretty low, although I think if we're all being honest with ourselves, we know he's not going to succeed in this job. Here's to hoping his demise is at least as entertaining and memorable as that of Ed Orgeron and the 2019 championship-winning LSU coaching staff. That does it for me. I'm Cheyenne Hollis. This is the Touchback, and make sure you hashtag take it out to the 25.